He's Tony. I'm Mike. This is week 7 of the Action Bowl.
Week 7 of the Action Bowl has Tyrone Power, one of our classic stars in Jesse James, going up against Reno in the Crimson Rivers. Mike, who do you want to talk about first?
Let's do Tyrone Power first.
Let's do Tyrone Power first. Now, Jesse James' 1940 film. It's what? It's Tyrone Power and Olivia de Havilland and Henry Fonda and.
I remember Henry Fonda.
All you gotta do is to keep your hands up and your mouth shut. Everything's gonna be all right.
Yeah, and
I don't remember the rest of the stars.
Bunch of other people that are in it, and this is a retelling of the Jesse James legend.
Here's my first question: is how accurate is this?
Not even a little bit. This, like I said, the legend. This is the dime store novel version of it.
And brother, I'm going to worry you to death. Not you.
Which I'm a Tyrone Power fan through and through. You know this.
Yes.
You know that I've seen a ton of his movies and own a multitude of them, and have been a huge fan of his. And this is very obviously earlier in his career, and it's very studio product-y.
I never knew how much I did want to see you until I saw you.
Because everybody is just so gosh darn good and honest, except for the bad guys, and they're really bad guys.
3 years ago, I swore he'd hang for what he'd done, and by the Almighty, he is going to hang.
That still ain't the way things are done around here.
I mean, they're your typical railroad tycoons.
I was gonna say
as portrayed in just about any other movie or TV show like Hell on Wheels or some shit like that. They're all the same.
I'm Mr. McCoy, president of the railroad.
Oh, yes, I know who you are, Mr. McCoy.
I just want to welcome you and tell you how glad I am to see you here in jail.
Oh, geez, Once Upon a Time in the West.
it's very cartoony though. It's like we have like the very first lady that he rolls up on, and he's all like, hey, yeah, they're coming, they're gonna buy your land, and you can either take the $1 an acre I'm offering, or you'll get nothing.
But if you won't sell, all we got to do is call in the government. They'll confiscate your land, and then you won't get nothing. But that's the way you want it.
And, she signs the papers. And then the second one he goes to, and he tries to pull the same shtick, and her son's all like, we should have a lawyer take a look at it. And he goes to shake the kid's hand and then punches him in the jaw.
No hard feelings, son.
Why, no, sir.
And I was just kind of like, oh, okay, we're going there. And then the third one, they wind up at the James ranch, and the mom's like, yeah, I'm not signing anything unless, I have a lawyer take a look at it first. And Henry James is there, and he sees the sucker punch coming a mile off, so he punches. Yeah, it's Frank, I'm sorry.
Henry Fonda.
Yeah, he punches first.
All right, son. No hard feelings.
Frank!
And then he tries to get his boys to do a dog pile on Henry Fonda, but then Jesse shows up, and it's all just a little too saccharine for my taste.
God bless our home. I say, that's better than you can get in a store, see? That's a mighty pretty frame, too.
Oh, Pinky made that.
Huh? Good work, Pinky.
I don't think there's anything saccharine about it, to be honest with you. I mean, you can call it studio all you want.
Yeah.
You could say it's very good versus evil, which that's not really 100% accurate either, because Jesse James is a outlaw.
Yeah.
1. No, Jesse! 2.
and sometimes he has to kill people, and that doesn't necessarily make a good person now, does
Yeah,
it?
no.
So, I mean, you could say, I get what you're coming
Yeah,
from, though.
it's more of an unsung hero sort of vibe to this whole thing.
Yeah.
Like, not what a complex, hey, this guy had 2 bad decisions and he made the best decision that he could make. And I guess here's my issue with this. Tyrone Power, we watched this on Also Rises not too terribly long ago, and Tyrone Power gives this rich, nuanced performance of this character that was injured in wartime, and he's in love with this woman, but he can't function any longer, and so, you know, he has this frustration and this anger, and it's like right below the surface, and you can see it in every scene. So Tyrone Power, the actor, immensely capable of pulling off a rich and nuanced performance. Henry Fonda, again, great American actor, capable of a rich, nuanced performance. This whole script, and really the fault of this, in my mind, is the script is so one note. It is so, hey, we've got to cut Jesse and Frank out to be the good guys no matter what.
Thank you, sir. Thank you kindly.
You'll hear about this.
No back talk, thank you, brother.
Here's the reason why they're doing what they're doing. And I get that. I understand that. But again, this is most definitely the legend of Jesse James, the dime store novel version of the James gang and everything that they did.
So why do you say there's no nuance and stuff like that? I think there is. I think there's more here. And really the strength of this really kind of is not so much the legend of Jesse James. It's the relationship, the love triangle with him, his love interest, I forgot her name, and the sheriff, Will.
Yeah.
That's the heart of this story. And then the rest of it is the legend of Jesse James. So I appreciate that aspect of it. If you missed it, that's
no,
on
it's
you.
not that I missed it. It's not that I missed it. It just was so blatant. It was just so in your face, and so, oh, well, he has feelings for her too, but she only has eyes for Jesse, and you know.
Oh, Jesse, I'm so scared.
Again, this is pre-World War II. This is not the man that came back and after having served in the war and giving all these, you know, complex, you know, deep character studies. And I think it would have benefited from that, because I think if you're familiar with the history of Jesse James, it can only benefit from showing him as, yes, there were really good sides to him, and there were stuff that everybody would agree to, and stuff people would go, yeah, I understand exactly what he did. But then there's other stuff that he did, and they touch on it towards the end of the film in this, where like Jesse's very irritable. It's after his wife and the baby leave, and they're like, you're acting crazy, you're acting this. Think about what this man is dealing with right now. He's an outlaw, yeah, but he loves his wife, and he has this child that is named after him. And one of the final bits of dialogue that he has with his servant, you know, his home servant.
Tell her.
Yes, sir.
Tell her not to let the baby know anything about me.
But he has that, like, you know what? Tell her not to tell my son anything about me.
Yeah.
I'm just going to go off and do my own thing. So there was a glimmer of like nuance and depth towards the end of the film as stuff gets, you know, more and more weird. But when you deal with how Robert Ford was convinced to actually kill Jesse James, that's kind of like the barest of facts that are involved in that.
Yeah, it's kind of, you could tell it's, I wouldn't say it was tacked on, but something you had to put in there, and they just kind of shoved it in at the very end. That was not very satisfying.
Yeah, the history of that is so well documented and so well known. And as a matter of fact, Robert Ford went on to, he had an accomplice, he had a brother that was also involved in the assassination. And then they actually went and did a stage play that ran for several years about how they did it and the exact, you know, circumstances that led up to all that happening. So with it being that famous, it's not like they could, like, you know, try to gloss over that or, you know, put a spit shine on it.
But the movie's called Jesse James, not the assassination of Jesse James, which is
Which-
a whole other movie.
Yes, yes. And I'm going to say that the other problem that I have, the action scenes in this, there were some great fight scenes in here. There was some they rob a bank, they rob a train, they do this. There's only a couple of those that really stood out to me. There was the one where his horse gets shot, and he hops on the horse with Frank.
Car started, play Pony Express.
And then as they're riding, they decide to start throwing the money out behind them. And that one was actually really fun and well shot and exciting and interesting. There's a lot of this, like they show the headline of James Gang robs bank. And then they show like a clip of them riding out of town, shooting their guns in the air.
Sure.
And I would actually have liked to have seen a bit more with that. They obviously spent the money to shoot at least some of it.
Yeah, but I mean, the problem with this, you're trying to cover all that ground, years and years of being an outlaw. I mean, they're trying to get all of it in a short period of thing. So I can forgive the choices that they made for that. I still found it a compelling story and a compelling watch. I still enjoyed Tyrone Power's performance and Fonda's and the guy that played Will, I forgot his name.
Don't get me wrong.
There's some stuff that's kind of comedic, like the guy the typesetter.
Yeah.
Editorial. So and so that the world would be better if these people just were put on the street and shot and just died or whatever the fuck it was. I think he did like a dozen times. He had that guy in there.
Yeah.
Uncle Roo, you want me to take those cuss words out, don't you?
Oh, I guess so.
Yeah, put the cuss words back in. I think was actually one of my favorite lines because he was giving an editorial about something and he's like, take all the cuss words out. And then he comes back and he's like,
You know them cuss words I told you to take out? Put them back in.
and I thought, that was fun. That was clever. I enjoyed that. I didn't hate this movie. I was just really underwhelmed
Okay, that's
by
fair
this
enough.
movie. On the scale of Tyrone Power films, this is a lesser entry in my mind on that. So keep that in mind when we get to the scoring part of this. But
I could totally see that. Yeah, because I've seen, like you said, much better performances from Tyrone Power.
Yeah.
But like you said, these are later in his career where there's more money involved because some of those movies are in color. And yeah, he's just older, wiser, and just more mature in his stuff. Is Zorro in this pile?
It was in this pile, yes, absolutely. And if we had pulled that one, we got to have seen Tyrone Power and Basil Rathbone square off in one of the most amazing duels ever put on film, bar
that
none.
movies were great.
And it's two guys, no stunt doubles.
Yeah.
Let's get it on. and it
Basil
just...
Rathbone don't fuck around either. Basil Rathbone's fucking legit.
If I was going to say, if we had pulled that, this would have been a blowout. You probably would have complained that I scored it too high.
No, because I really enjoyed Zorro. Well, let's the scores. Go ahead and get to them.
All right. Well,
I'm interested in what you got.
Again, remember, this comes from a place of love and a bit of disappointment on this one.
I'm predicting 12.
For the plot, I gave it a 3. And the reason I gave it a 3 is because, again, it lacks depth. It lacks nuance. They're trying to cover a ton of ground. I understand that. But they never really differentiate any of the characters as far as the gang goes, as far as even Frank and Jesse goes. I mean, like literally any one of them could have delivered anybody else's line of dialogue and it wouldn't have mattered.
Okay.
Story-wise, there's compelling stuff here. I just feel like they glanced over it in a rush to get to the end. So that's why I gave it a 3. For the style, I gave it a 4. It's very much.
Wow.
It's very much. Well, again, my biggest problem is that like, they set up these huge action scenes, and you have this editing choice to have the headline of the newspaper, and then they ride out of town shooting their guns, and I'm like going. That's what I came for. That's what I want to see. I want to see Jesse James and Frank James and the James Gang knocking over banks.
You completely forgot their first train robbery. That was a whole good 10-minute scene.
And therein lies the problem.
But you can't do that for every fucking thing that they do.
I get that.
So you got to abbreviate it.
I understand.
Wow,
I understand.
you're being
I
harsh.
am. And then for the entertainment, I gave it a 3. I was not wowed on this one. I love Tyrone Powers, and I love Tyrone Powers films, but I can tell you that as far as this film goes, I'll probably never watch this one again. So I gave it a 10.
Oh, wow. Man. I'm on the complete opposite end of that spectrum. There's actually a lot of information that's given here. Whether it's correct or not, I don't know. I don't care. But there's a lot of information here, and it's a long story. I mean, they cover the whole, from them trying to take over the land till him fucking dying. There's a lot of ground to cover there. So there's that. There's a little bit of interpersonal stuff with the brother, but not a whole lot. I wish there was more too. But again, the heart of the story is that love triangle, and that's what really worked for me, and I enjoyed that a lot. I give the plot a 7. Style's a 6. It is of its time. What actually they do have on there, when they do show the whole robbery scenes, is great and very well done for the time, especially in a studio system. So I gave it a 6. And I was very entertained by this movie. I enjoyed it from beginning to end. There are some slow spots in it. Again, it's a movie of its time, so pacing is a little lacking here and there. But I still really enjoyed this very much. I gave it a 7, so total score for me is a 20. I really enjoyed this.
So
I thought for sure you're gonna give this probably at least a 15 or 18.
I thought about that. Trust me, I was troubled when I was scoring this. I was like really doing some soul searching.
You were angry.
I was
score
angry.
angry.
I do. I score angry and I score passionately. If I love a movie, I really, really love it. If I am indifferent to a movie, I'm really indifferent to it. And if I don't like a movie, I really don't like a movie.
And that's the biggest difference between us, is while you score passionately, I score a little more objectively.
I'm letting my inner Italian out.
Yeah.
So, but I'm gonna also say this: the other big problem that I have, and it's not this film. It is, I have seen the assassination of Jesse James by the coward Robert Ford. And that movie is a masterpiece. And it is, not too much longer than this, but it's such a rich and nuanced and accurate character study. I would say if anybody was ever going to ask me, hey, what Jesse James movie should I watch? It would be that one every time. I rewatch that movie like once every 5 or 6 months. I adore that film and I love how good it is. And this just didn't. I have to compare them because it's the same subject. And that is
not
infinitely, well, it's
but
the
it's
same,
not.
It's a historically accurate
because one's the
version of this.
assassination, the other one's the story of.
But it's everything that leads up to it too, and this movie covers a lot of that in the last half of the film.
Yeah.
That's kind of where the assassination of Jesse James.
That's and just so I make sure I got the right one. This is the one with
Brad Pitt and
something Casey Affleck.
Yeah, Casey Affleck. Thank you.
I tried to watch that movie. That movie bored me into fucking tears. So
I love it. Anyway, so now you know where we fall on the sides of the scale as far as Jesse James goes. Coming up next, Jean Reno, The Crimson Rivers. Stay tuned.
Look, there's somebody in there. What did I tell you?
So Jean Reno shows up in The Crimson Rivers. Really deep, dark murder mystery with some splotches of action here and there.
it's very moody.
Yes.
And I like the structure of the story for the first 2/3 of it. I like how you got 2 different cops investigating
different crimes
that are leading into one.
Yeah.
I love that aspect of it. And that was really good. I really enjoyed that. Where it kind of loses some steam for me, though, is when they finally team up. That team up at first is a little awkward. And then the chemistry builds between the two.
Relève-toi, doucement.
Ok, alors rends-moi mon flingue,
Bouge pas!
T'es en état d'arrestation, je suis un keuf!
And then it goes to the end.
Yeah.
The end was kind of lacking for me, though, also. But before we get deep into that, let's go ahead and...
I was going to say, watching the beginning of this, it reminded me of Mindhunter.
Fétal, comme un fœtus recroquevillé dans le ventre de sa mère.
where they find the first body and they're doing the autopsy and they're trying to figure out what all this means and all the investigation that goes into
That
it.
autopsy scene was amazing. The makeup work is brilliant, and I love that detail they have where it looks like the corpse is crying, but it's actually just rain accumulating in the sockets. That's like, beautifully done. I've never seen anything like that before. It's amazing. There's a lot of great shots in here. There's a lot of creative uses of makeup and storytelling stuff that I haven't seen before until I see this film.
Yeah, I'm going to say right now, that is one of the most convincing looking corpses I have ever seen in a film ever. And they do the full body shot of it, and then they give you the real up close detail work of it. So yeah, whoever did the makeup work for this film, spectacular.
Yes.
And the thing is that it's so good, it informs all the other performances, because when they first uncover the body and you see that one cop just kind of turn around like, oh god, and then they show it to you have the same reaction that cop had, which is, oh god, because his hands have been cut off, he's bound in this really weird fetal position. Yeah, it's spectacularly good. And then as the mystery starts unfolding, I was completely engrossed with everything that was going on with Jean Reno.
Me too.
And then we go to, what is his name? Cavill? I can't remember his full name. I'll throw it up here. But he's the other cop that's coming at this, and it's a desecration of a grave. Essentially, a mausoleum, and he's trying to investigate what it was, and he just thinks it's a misdemeanor. He's just trying to like figure out what local teenage assholes or punks decided that they were going to go in and do this. And as he realizes that no, there's a lot more to it, and it's building and building and building. And I'm gonna tell you that I had seen a review about this from Roger Ebert, and he's like, this is what the next film that should follow in The Silence of the Lambs, should be. And I'm watching this, and I can't disagree. This
No. There's a lot of layers to this, especially like we were talking about. What's his name?
Jean Reno?
No, the other character.
It's something Cavill or
Vincent Castle.
There you go, Vincent Castle. That's what I was thinking. Yeah, I was thinking Cavill.
Yeah. For the character name, because his character name is Max.
Yeah.
But Vince's story or his case. Like you said, at first, he just thinks it's some punks that's creating some place, and then he goes to those punks, and there's a great fight scene.
Yeah, that fight scene was brutal. Oh, I love that pool stick hit. Holy shit!
And the thing sucks about it is we only get that one fight scene. There's no more fight scenes throughout the rest of the movie.
No, yeah.
Hand to hand. Well, at the end.
Yeah.
There's a hand to hand. But yeah, he keeps peeling back the layers. He gets that, and then he goes to the like the highway patrol or whatever it is, whoever runs the highways, to investigate the accident of the girl. And then I love that reaction too, because he shows a picture of the girl. You don't actually see you see the backside of it, and then his reaction to what happened to that poor girl is gruesome. Yeah. And then it gets a little further. Okay, well then there's
the only thing left intact was a finger.
Yeah.
And she was hit at a 38-ton lorry going 80 miles an hour.
Yeah.
There wasn't much left. That's the line of dialogue. And when he holds the picture up and you can see the light through it, it's just a red smear. So
and then he finds out, okay, so the mom went crazy and then checked herself into a convent and then goes and visits the nun. And you had that scene, which is really good. And then it just keeps building and building and building. I mean, it's the craft and the story is so
spectacular.
Good. Yes.
Oh, yeah. No, you cannot fault anything. Now, the resolution of it, and we're not going to spoil this one because it is that good. But the resolution of this, it's one of those, when it happens, you're going to be kind of like, what? And then when you think about it, all the pieces were on the board. Yeah. All the pieces were there. It makes sense. It all ties together really, really well. It's just not as satisfying as you want it to be.
Yes.
And that's it. That is not the fault of the storytellers. That's not the fault of
well, it is the fault of the storytellers.
It's the fault of the guy that wrote the original novel. It is not the fault of the director, and it's not the fault of the cast.
No.
Yeah, I'm sure that it's probably exact 1-to-1 from the original novel that this is based on. But I just wanted, it was everything else that was leading up to it was so good. It was like everything is at a 10 for all this time, and then the ending is like a 7, and it's kind of like, oh, okay, I guess that's that. So
good. This is the exact same for me. The choices for the sets are great too, because you got the school, which has a cool vibe to it. The one girl's little apartment has a vibe to it. That spot on the glacier was like damn cool.
Yeah.
And then when discovered that other body also in the fetal position, that glacier is like, oh, so well done.
And then when you find out that, oh, this one's got its eyes, and then it's like, no, those are glass eyes. This person was blind. That was so jacked up. Yeah. That was so beautifully executed, beautifully handled. Because when they showed the nun, you see that her eyes, she's blind, and you see that her eyes have hazed over, and you're thinking, well, they obviously knew how to do that. Why is this corpse crystal clear blue eyes? And then you find out because they're glass. That's it.
Yes.
Everything about this is so smart. It is so well done. It is so well presented. And I'm also going to say the chase scene, when Vincent Cassel is chasing the hooded person, you have no idea who it is.
Oh, that was really good too.
That chase sequence was so good. I was so like, get him. Get him, shoot him, put your gun on, shoot him. And then by the time he actually gets to that point, when the person gets away, you're kind of like, yeah, okay, all right, I can let that slide. I get it. That's, you know what? Worse things have happened to me. So I kind of adored this.
There's a sequel, right?
There's actually, I think there's a sequel to this, and then there is a remake of this, and then there is a series that is based on this.
Okay.
So yeah, this movie has been redone, but this is the original crew getting together and just killing it, just knocking it out of the park.
Why would you try to remake this? I mean, this is a borderline masterpiece. The only thing that keeps it from being like great is the end.
Yeah.
How are you gonna fix it unless you fix the story somehow, make it a little more compelling?
See, I guess that's the whole thing. After you watch this, when you try to actually put the clues together and have a different ending, you're gonna agree that no, it's kind of got to be this, and that's kind of the thing. They knew exactly where they were starting from. They knew exactly where they were going. They built this perfect, beautiful, intricate web, just flawlessly, and it's just like I said. It's not that it's a bad resolution. It's just not as good as everything that led up to it, and I don't want to say any more than that because I want our people to go out and watch this film because it deserves to be watched.
Yeah, but when people say it's not about it's the journey, not the destination, this is what they're talking about.
Yes.
I mean, that perfectly encapsulates this movie.
Yeah.
Let's get to the scores.
All right. Well, I'm gonna say for the plot, I gave it a 7. It's smart.
Yep.
It's the characters are beautifully developed. Everything is handled so well. I wanted to score this higher, but I thought I would get a ration of shit from you. So I was like, well, you can't argue with a 7. A 7 is good. So for the style, I gave it a 7. Literally, the makeup effects are spectacular. The cinematography is amazing. When they find the one body that is strung up with the blood riding across the top, that scene kind of creeped me out just a bit. And then when there's the hooded figure that you can't see who it is, that genuinely has menace. Because they make sure that they don't give anything away. It's perfectly handled, perfectly revealed. And for the entertainment, I gave it an 8. I really dug this movie. I'll be buying this one. I'll be buying the French import Blu-ray on this one. So for me, I gave this a 22.
We are almost score for score. I mean, plot is a 7 all day long. I mean, the only thing that keeps from being 8 or 9 is the end. Style's a 7. The only thing that kept it for me from being like an 8 or a 9 is the CGI avalanche.
Yep.
Dang it, ruined it. And just that little bit and the end kept us also from being an 8 or a 9 in the entertainment. It's a 7 for entertainment. So it's a 21. So we're right.
Yeah,
we're right there.
Yeah. See, so when we agree, we really, really agree. When we disagree, we really, really disagree. So coming up next, our scoring will determine who the winner is. Stay tuned. Week 7 of the Action Bowl, Tyrone Power going up against Jean Reno. Tyrone Power, Jesse James. You scored at a 20.
Yep.
I scored at a 10, so that gives us an average score of 15. Jean Reno, the Crimson Rivers, you scored at a 21. I scored at a 22, so that gives us an average score of 21.5. So Jean Reno is moving on to the second round. Tyrone Power, he should have paid the bill. I don't want to besmirch Tyrone Power. I love this man as an actor. I think that he has some of my favorite films ever made in his catalog. He's a spectacularly good actor. Jesse James is not indicative of the vast depth and richness of his catalog. So I'm not going to break this one. I'm just going to drop it. Because Tyrone deserves better than that. Any issues with that?
No. I'm gonna say this. I mean, to me, it's almost another upset because I know Tyrone Power's got some really good stuff in there. And Jean Reno is a total dark horse.
Yes.
Because other than Professional, I have not seen any of his action movies except for like Godzilla, but I don't count that.
Yeah, Godzilla's in the jar, so this could go really bad for Jean Reno really fast. But then one of the reasons that he's in there is because he has so many of these action films that we've never seen, and that's the point of the Action Bowl is watching a bunch of movies that from people that we like, but we have no idea if we're gonna love them or hate them.
Yeah.
So
I hope whatever else is in here, there's some more good stuff besides the Professional that we can discuss.
Yeah, definitely. And just to wind this one down on Tyrone Power, watch his Mask of Zorro. Again, some of the greatest action sequences ever put on film, and it was like 1936 or 1938. If I'm not mistaken, it's supposed to be the version of Zorro that Bruce Wayne and his parents went and saw before they were gunned down outside of the movie theater.
I mean, it makes sense. And obviously, Batman is a product of Zorro.
Absolutely.
The source material and all that stuff.
So anyway, coming up next, our drawing for Week 8. Stay tuned. Week 8 of the Action Bowl and the last matchup of Round 1. We have Errol Flynn going up against Thomas Jane. I will be drawing for Errol Flynn. Mike will be drawing for Thomas Jane. And Mike's going to get to draw first this time because we haven't done that in a few weeks.
Oh, let's see here. Give me that.
You got
there
it.
We go. And give me this damn thing.
One to a customer, sir.
I know, but that's the one I wanted.
Fair enough. All right. So Thomas Jane, there's a lot of good and bad and good bad in Thomas Jane's jar. So I'm kind of excited.
Oh, so Thomas Jane would be represented by Hunter's Moon. So I don't know if this is going to fall into the realm of good or bad, or so good it's bad, or just
so
bad
it's good. I was going to say, if I'm not mistaken, this is a werewolf movie. So
really?
Yeah. Yeah, Thomas Jane is all over the board as far as the quality and quantity of films in his catalog.
I guess so. Well, I don't know what to say about all that. That'd be interesting for sure. But let's see what
let's see what Errol Flynn's got going on.
Now, I'm actually really excited about this. I've been wanting to do an Errol Flynn movie for a while now.
Yeah, well, the sad part of this particular matchup is that we're going to lose somebody that we both like quite a bit. So Errol Flynn is going to be represented by, the Seahawk. Fencing, fighting, true love.
So this is a classic swashbuckler, I'm assuming.
Yes. This is stiff competition. I hope Thomas Jane brings his A game. I hope it's close. I hope we have a fiery fucking argument about which movie was better. I hope that this is not a blowout, but The Seahawk is stiff competition. This is kind of like, about the only film I can think of that's better in Errol Flynn's jar is The Adventures of Robin Hood. So this is the equivalent of pulling out like one of those big gun Harrison Ford flicks.
Oh shit!
Yeah.
So this could be an easy 20+
Yeah.
score.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Ooh,
So
gonna guess what could be a werewolf movie. I mean, upsets have been done before on this channel and already this season, so anything can happen.
absolutely. I'm looking forward to this. This is going to be, I love the mixed bag aspect of these random drawings. I love the fact that we have no idea what we're watching until it's drawn. And I love the fact that we both get introduced to a lot of films that we've never seen before. So this is going to be a good time, no matter how this one turns out. But I don't know who to root for, but I know who I'd bet on.
I got my favorite picked out in my head. Or who I should say my favorite, who to be the favored choice.
Exactly. So all that is coming up next. Errol Flynn, the Seahawk, Thomas Jane, Hunter's Moon. Stay tuned.
So join us for week 8, where we have Errol Flynn, the Seahawk, versus Thomas Jane and Hunter's Moon.
We will see you then.